Yo, what's up guys? Another dungeon guide video. Did not really expect to make this one. I would say that this was the dungeon that was cleared fastest already, more or less at least. Uh, just PC10 is faster, but GB12 has been the fastest dungeon ever since Belial GB12 since I think last year December or something. But there has been some teams that look better, and I wasn't 100% sure if they're actually better, and the team is this. You do need Deborah, or as someone mentioned in the comments, Deborah. I don't know. Is it Deborah or Deborah? One of the two. I don't mind. Either how. This team is potentially faster because we have some more perfect AI potential. So same as Brandia perfect AI in the SF10 videos that I've showed before. This has perfect AI potential as well. But the only issue is that both SS skill 3 and skill 2 both do extra damage based on more debuffs. And therefore the crows tend to go for the S2 and S3 whatever they can. Issue, however, is still Lucian. Lucian is a bitch. Lucian doesn't use their skill when they want it to do. So it's very hard to determine what is the true average of this team, and you would need to do a lot of runs to actually get there and to see if this is better. Of course, as you see in my previous videos of dungeon guides, I've done that, and previously I put it in an Excel sheet. This time I went slightly smarter and slightly of an easier way. But first, let's talk about this team. What does it do? How does it work? How should it work? Well, not exactly as this run. But the main thing is, if Lucian does S3 in the first wave, wave dies. Then we have Lauren S1 or S2, armor breaking. The first crow can actually one-shot that boss already. So that makes it pretty fast. Wave 3, Lucian goes third skill once again. And then in wave 2, or in the boss stage, wave 4, there is a very good chance where crow goes S3, another crow goes S3, and it will instantly kill the boss. So if we see here, Scar instantly killing the boss, of course because of the passive of Deborah, whatever. So the only issue is what happens if it goes wrong in those waves. And therefore I still have my Lucian that moves double turn. So we have that, another Scar, and this is going to be about what, like 18, 19 seconds, because Lucian wasted the skill, 21 seconds, because Lucian wasted the skill in wave 3. So with that said, this team has a lot of potential to be faster. But then again, the Belial team is also already very fast. And does this actually become faster? Because the Lucian factor is the same in the Belial team as it is here, unless you have a Zarath. So in this case, if this team is faster with a Lucian, it is also faster with a Zarath. That's more or less the case. There are some issues where Lauren might miss armor breaks on the middle boss or on the final boss, and therefore it tends to get somewhat slower. But then again, you could say the same thing about the Belial team, because if you have wrong team-ups and the team-up never ends up with the Belial and you miss armor breaks on the Icarus, even if you have your Icarus on enough crit rate, which in this case is 54 if I'm not mistaken, you can still have slower runs. So both of them have some RNG potential. I have seen this team fail just a few times, but not that much at all, actually. So then the big question is, okay, in this case, we missed a, what's it called? A branding for the Scar, so the second Scar didn't fully kill. So big question is this team faster? Before we get into that, I also made a different idea with this team is, what if your Julie can one-shot the wave? One-shotting the wave of Julie is near impossible. I know literally 1 or 2 people that can do it, and I am very far from it. So that does need some insane runes and artifacts to make it work, like very insane. And even then for them, they are close to like 12 sets of fight, which is close to the max amount of fights that you could have. So with that said, would I recommend to try to make Julie one shot? No. What I could do, however, I could use, because I have Deborah in here, and Deborah what I also used for a previous dungeon, I can use Julie plus Deborah to clear the waves. I actually tested that as well, but Deborah skills, they become perfect AI. They will always clear the waves. It does work. It does help. The only issue is you add so much more time to your runs that you're easily going 25, 26 seconds or even more. So let's look at the thing that I made a while back, a very long while back. And that is what I use for a bunch of things for, well, tracking RTAs, doing anything of reading the optimizer or the exporter. Wait, removing this thing, which is this thing. You don't have to know any programming for knowing what I do. Also, any programmers out there, don't add me on how like ugly this is made. This was made quick and dirty, how most of this stuff that I make is made. So what it does, once you clear a run, you actually get an export, or you get like a message that is sent to the server saying like, this is how long the time took for this dungeon. That is exactly this message. So within here, you could see like what kind of units I used, what dungeon it was. In this case, it's giants, what units I fought, and then also the clear time. So with that, you can actually see what is the clear time. So I made a list, which you can see here. I just export all of the clear times and I actually sum them up. So we have like the actual clear time at the end. So I did save a few, where I did one with the Deborah clear, for example. So if we go for the Deborah clear, I reload this, I go all the way down. I didn't do too many hits of that. Wait, it's actually at the bottom right where you can't see it. Does this make more sense? It does make more sense like this. Kind of, yes, I guess so. So I did 126 runs, and this was the total time, which means an average of 26.61 with Deborah clearing the stages. That's not good enough, that's not fast enough, so that's not what we want to see. Going back to the one where I did it with the Tricaro Belial, so I have that one saved in here. This one takes a little bit longer to load because I had this thing running for I don't know how many days. So if we scroll down, we can see all of the individual runs. We can see it's very consistent within like the 20 range. These are milliseconds, if I'm not mistaken, so divided by 1,000, it's the second. And then if we scroll all the way down, you can see I did 786 runs, and I'm getting an average of 24.76. So the 24.76 is the time we want to beat with the new one. So if I put the full log in here, which is the data that is running right now, then I can reload this. Will still take a little bit of time, but as you can see here, these are all of the runs that I do, and you can see like the bunch of like 18 seconds. You can see 18 seconds, but I do know it can also go up towards can it go up to 40 seconds, 50 seconds? I think it happened like a few times that it goes pretty slow as well, mainly because of things going wrong. So I did 810 runs of those, but we can see that we have a 23.28 seconds on this one. So that means that this team is actually 1 second faster than the previous team. And that is pretty interesting, actually. So with that said, let's actually dive into the runes of this team and see how it works, why it works. Because now we established actually that it is faster on average. If you would like to see more information of like how I calculated that stuff and how that other thing on the other side that I just did worked, I could make a video on that if you want me to. That's pretty simple stuff. But I think a lot of people is like, okay, too nerdy stuff, I have no clue what you're talking about. Is it faster? Yes, okay, good, let's go on. So let's look at the actual, I think it's easiest to look at, just wasted 8 energy. Let's look at the actual units, how they look and how the team should work. So if we look at this, we go for this. The Lucian is a plus 120 speed. Plus 120 speed makes him move at, if I'm not mistaken, the 5th or the 6th tick, which makes him faster than all of the rest. That's the main thing. Like you need 120 speed. The moment you have 120 speed, you still need to one-shot the waves, which in this case is possible with these kind of stats. I added some extra damage and water here because the, what's it called? The golems are the most difficult to one-shot, and therefore this one-shots. So 120 speed on him. Then I put Lauren. I think the max amount of speed that you can put on the other units was, I think, 161 or 160. So I went for a Lauren triple fight. I still have 100 crit rate and then some additional damage, whatever's here. She just does a little bit of chip damage. It's not too much. And the minimum accuracy she needs is 54, if I'm not mistaken. Then we have the first crow that moves. This is the crow that moves at the first boss. That's also why you want to put him in the first slot. That's also something that Genesis Prime mentioned. It doesn't have to jump from here towards the boss. It jumps from here towards the boss, which is very slightly faster. But it's, as I mentioned, very slightly. It doesn't really change all too much. But it's just something, if it helps a little, why not do it? So to get the 54 AC, I have a 35 AC and I have a 20 AC here. So it's 55. So I have the 54. And then it's just a whole bunch of damage with whatever damage I could find. Then we have the second crow, which is pretty much at the same speed, one speed slower. The minimum speed you need to have is 169 after speed tower, so these could actually be slower, that's not an issue. If I'm not mistaken, or do they have to be this fast to move in that tick? No, 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 they don't have to be. So this is the crow that does a bit more damage. Also go for the damage on water and go for like the crit damage grill 3 on this one, because you don't need the Aki on the second one. Then we have the Deborah. You do need Deborah in this team. The only option you have to make this team different is going for a third crow. Or, yeah, pretty much just a third crow. That's pretty much your best bet. If you don't want to make this team specifically, you would go for a third crow. However, I can say with that third crow, a Belial team is faster. So this could be an option for people saying like, hey, I don't have a Belial, but I do have a Deborah. I can build this team. Let's say I have neither. You can build this team with a third crow, but then you kind of have to build a third crow. In my case, the crows are max skill because I have Devilmons left over. I'm not necessarily sure that you have to max skill it, because I think this does no extra damage. It's just higher chance on the harmful effect or something like that. So it's not a must. I would probably 2A them because they just get a lot more base stats for that. Deborah in this case is 0 speed, and it needs to be exactly 0 speed. Otherwise, Lucian doesn't move twice before Deborah, if I'm not mistaken. So with that all in mind, that is how you run this dungeon. That is how it is slightly faster than the other way. If you have a Seraph and you put this team with a Seraph over here, I am pretty sure, because then your Seraph doesn't have to double lap and that kind of stuff, I'm pretty sure this would be also faster than a Belial Seraph. Or, yeah, Belial Seraph. So in this case, I would say that if you have Deborah, these 4 units are the best units to clear stage or wave 2 and wave 4, which is middle boss and final boss. And then in slot 1, you need something to clear the waves. So in this case, Seraph would be best, Lucian is second best, I guess. Unless you have a Julie one-shotting, but I really don't see anyone making that work, unless for the people that I know that can do it, re-apt Rage Runes, or they're farming the Carousel dungeon and you get good stuff in that, which is also an option. Yep, so with all of that said, if you have Deborah, you can make a faster team for about 1 second faster if you're nitpicking, like me, to get the fastest teams in every dungeon all the time possible. This is the team you want to build. So if there are any questions, let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please like this video, and see you in the next one.